What if I told you that the secret to unforgettable customer service has nothing to do with words and everything to do with energy? People don't remember the transaction, they remember how you made them feel. Great service doesn't begin with the customer, it begins with you. When we think about customer service, most people immediately imagine the words spoken, the tone of voice, the procedures followed, or even the efficiency of the interaction. But there is a deeper truth that goes unnoticed by many. The essence of great customer service is not simply in what you say or what you do, but in the state of being you carry into that interaction. Before a word is spoken, before a solution is given, your energy, your emotions, and your inner alignment are already communicating something powerful. Customers respond to that invisible communication more than they realize. Imagine walking into a store or making a call to a service center. You may encounter someone who speaks politely but is distracted, irritated, or operating from stress. They may say all the right words, yet you leave feeling unseen or unimportant. On the other hand, you might meet someone who is calm, grounded, genuinely present, and radiates a sense of care. The exact same words can be spoken, but the energy behind them changes everything. This is the hidden dimension of customer service that determines whether an experience feels transactional or transformational. Your inner state is like a frequency you broadcast. Think about how you feel when you are overwhelmed, rushed, or stressed. Your body sends signals of tension, your tone shortens, and your patience thins. Even if you mask it with polite language, people can feel what's behind the mask. That's because human beings are wired to sense coherence or incoherence in others. A smile forced through stress is not the same as a smile that arises from genuine gratitude or enthusiasm. Customers, without even consciously realizing it, pick up on this. They feel the mismatch, and when they feel the mismatch, they do not feel safe, valued, or cared for. On the other hand, when you align your inner state with elevated emotions like gratitude, compassion, and calmness, your nervous system sends out signals of coherence. Your voice softens naturally, your presence deepens, your ability to listen improves, and you begin to radiate authenticity. The customer feels that. They might not be able to articulate it, but they walk away knowing they mattered. This is why the secret to great customer service begins not with the customer, but with you. It begins with cultivating the inner state that you want others to feel. Now ask yourself, what state do you normally bring into your interactions? If you begin your day already overwhelmed, thinking about deadlines, complaints, or the next task, then your nervous system is broadcasting stress. If your body is operating in survival mode, your energy is trapped in lower emotional states such as frustration, impatience, or irritation. And when you carry that state into a customer interaction, it colors every word you say. You might think you are hiding it, but energy cannot be concealed. It leaks through the tone of your voice, the pace of your words, the subtle micro expressions on your face. Customers are not just listening to you, they are feeling you. This is why regulating your inner world is the first act of true customer service. Before you even answer a call, greet a customer, or respond to a complaint, you must ask yourself, what state am I in? Am I centered? Am I aligned? Am I projecting stress, or am I embodying calm? If you cannot regulate yourself, you will unconsciously pass your stress to the person in front of you. But if you choose to enter the interaction from a place of balance and openness, you will elevate not only the experience for them, but also for yourself. Think about the leaders, teachers, or even friends who made you feel understood. Most of them were not rushing to fix your problem. They were present, they listened, they radiated a state of patience and compassion. That inner state created an outer experience of safety and connection. Now, translate that to customer service. Every person you meet carries their own burdens, frustrations, and stories. They may arrive upset, anxious, or impatient. But if you meet them with coherence, you have the power to shift their state. You are not just solving a problem, you are creating an experience where they feel valued and respected. That is what transforms an ordinary service into a great one. Science has shown that the human heart produces an electromagnetic field that can influence others. When you are in a state of stress, your heart rhythm becomes erratic, incoherent. But when you shift into gratitude, compassion, or appreciation, your heart enters coherence, sending out harmonious signals. This coherence not only regulates your own nervous system, but also influences the emotional state of those around you. This is not abstract, it is biology. Customers standing before you are sensitive to the energy you emit. Your inner state literally creates the outer experience they have. So the question becomes, how do you prepare your inner state before serving others? It begins with awareness. You must notice when your mind is running on autopilot, fueled by stress and old emotional habits. When you become aware, you have the power to pause, to breathe, to reset. Even a few deep, intentional breaths can shift your body out of stress and into balance. Gratitude is another powerful tool. Before greeting someone, take a moment to feel genuine appreciation for the opportunity to serve, to connect, to make a difference in someone's day. That simple shift in feeling rewires your entire nervous system and sets the tone for the interaction. When you consistently practice this, you train your body to carry elevated states more naturally. Over time, your baseline changes. Instead of defaulting to stress or irritation, your default becomes presence, calmness, and care. This not only transforms the way customers experience you, but also transforms the way you experience yourself. Because you are no longer a victim of external circumstances, you are the creator of your state. And by creating your inner state, you are shaping every outer experience. In today's world, people are constantly distracted. They are scrolling on their phones, thinking about the next task, replaying a past moment, or worrying about what's coming tomorrow. Most of us lives split between different moments in time, rarely anchored in the one that truly matters, the present. This same tendency shows up in customer service. Many who serve are physically there but mentally absent. They might be running through procedures, answering questions, or offering solutions, but if they are not fully present, the customer feels it immediately, and that lack of presence often leaves the person on the other side of the interaction feeling overlooked, dismissed, or unimportant. Presence, then, is not just about being in the same physical space as the customer. It is about bringing your full attention, your full awareness, and your full energy into that interaction. When you are present, you are no longer thinking about the last customer who was difficult, nor are you projecting your thoughts onto the next task waiting for you. You are here now, meeting the human being in front of you, as if they are the most important person in that moment. This is the rarest gift you can offer, and it is the foundation of great customer service. Think about your own experiences. How many times have you spoken to someone who gave you a scripted response, their eyes glazed, their voice mechanical, as though you were just one more number to process? Contrast that with the moments when someone looked you in the eye, leaned into the conversation, and responded with genuine engagement. Even if they couldn't solve your problem instantly, you walked away feeling acknowledged and valued. That is the power of presence. It is not about perfection. It is about connection. Presence transforms ordinary transactions into extraordinary experiences. Why? Because when someone feels your attention, they interpret it as care. When you listen deeply without rushing or interrupting, they interpret it as respect. When you respond with your full awareness, not just rehearsed lines, they interpret it as authenticity. And people crave authenticity in a world filled with superficial interaction. But to give presence, you must first cultivate it within yourself. Most people live in a constant state of mental noise. Their thoughts jump from one thing to the next, rarely staying still. This restless state creates a disconnection from the moment. If you enter a customer interaction while your mind is still elsewhere, you are not able to listen fully, and you are not able to truly serve. Presence begins with mastering your own mind and body. When you notice your attention wandering, bring it back. When you feel yourself rushing ahead, pause. When you sense impatience rising, take a deep breath and reset. This simple act of self-regulation allows you to be anchored in the now. Neuroscience shows that when you are fully present, your brain operates differently. Regions associated with empathy and higher reasoning activate, allowing you to respond with more creativity and compassion. Presence, then, is not only an emotional state, but also a neurological shift. You are no longer reacting automatically from old habits of impatience or defensiveness. Instead, you are consciously choosing to engage in a way that honors the other person. Customers feel this shift. They might not know the science behind it, but they recognize the difference. Presence carries a vibration that speaks louder than words. Consider this: people are not only looking for solutions when they reach out for service. They are often carrying emotions, frustration, confusion, disappointment, or anxiety. They are not just seeking information, they are seeking relief. And relief begins the moment they feel that you are with them, not against them, not above them, not detached from them, but right there alongside them. That alignment, created by presence, begins to dissolve tension even before a problem is solved. Presence also requires curiosity. When you are fully present, you are not assuming you already know what the customer is about to say. You are not rushing to cut them off with a solution before they even finish their sentence. You are listening with the intent to understand, not just to respond. This type of listening invites trust. Trust is the bridge between a dissatisfied customer and a loyal one, and it is built one moment of presence at a time. There is also a subtle but powerful ripple effect when presence is given. Customers who feel truly seen are more likely to soften their own frustration. They are more willing to cooperate, more patient in hearing your explanation, and more open to receiving your help. On the contrary, when they sense that you are distracted or detached, their frustration grows, their defensiveness heightens, and the interaction becomes strained. In this way, your presence doesn't just change how you feel, it changes how they feel too. The beauty of presence is that it requires no special training, no advanced technology, and no external resource. It is available in every moment as long as you make the choice to give it. It is the simplest yet most profound gift. Yet, because of its simplicity, it is often overlooked. People underestimate the power of simply being here now. But when you look back at the most memorable experiences in your own life, you will often realize they were moments of pure presence, times when someone's full attention was with you, undivided and authentic. In customer service, this principle becomes transformative. Imagine beginning each interaction by setting aside distractions, silencing the mental chatter, and anchoring your awareness into the present moment. Imagine approaching the customer as though nothing else in the world mattered more than the human being in front of you. Imagine offering not just your words, but your full energy, your genuine presence. That moment becomes more than service. It becomes connection, and connection is what people carry with them long after the details of the transaction fade. When we think of communication, we tend to focus almost entirely on the words we use, the structure of our sentences, and the tone of our voice. Yet science has revealed something extraordinary. Only a small portion of communication is carried by language itself. The rest, the majority, is transmitted through non-verbal cues, emotional states, and the energy we project. This means that even when our words appear correct, what we are truly communicating is often something deeper, something unspoken, something that people feel more than they hear. In customer service, this understanding changes everything, because it shows us that the essence of a great interaction lies not just in what is said, but in the energy behind it. Have you ever had someone greet you with words that sounded polite but carried no warmth? Perhaps they said, "How can I help you?" but the energy was flat, robotic, or filled with irritation. You might not have been able to explain why, but you felt a disconnect. On the other hand, you may have encountered someone who said the same words, yet their tone was infused with genuine care, their eyes reflected attention, and their presence carried openness. Without even realizing it, you responded differently. You felt calmer, more trusting, more willing to engage. This is the power of energy. It bypasses logic and goes straight to emotion, influencing how we feel, how we respond, and how we remember the experience. Energy is not abstract, it is measurable. The human heart produces an electromagnetic field that can extend several feet beyond the body. When you are in a state of frustration or stress, that field becomes chaotic and incoherent, signaling disharmony to those around you. When you are in a state of compassion, gratitude, or calmness, your heart enters coherence, broadcasting signals of harmony that others can sense. This is why some people feel calming to be around while others feel draining, even if they are not speaking at all. Customers who walk into your space or call your line are picking up on these signals, whether consciously or unconsciously. They are not just listening to your words, they are tuning into your energy. Consider the difference between reaction and response. When you are stressed and operating in survival mode, your reactions are sharp, quick, and often defensive. The energy behind them carries tension. A customer can feel that tension instantly, and even if your words are technically polite, the underlying energy tells another story. But when you are balanced, present, and aligned, your responses flow from a place of ease. The energy behind them is calm and caring, which reassures the customer that they are safe and valued. In this way, your internal state becomes more powerful than your external script. Think about a time when you were upset and someone tried to help you but was clearly impatient. They might have said all the right things, but their size, their rushed tone, or the sharpness in their voice communicated that you were a burden. That energy only deepened your frustration. Now think about a time when someone responded with genuine calm, meeting your agitation with steadiness rather than defensiveness. Their presence helped regulate your emotions. Without them saying much, you began to relax. This is the invisible influence of energy. It regulates not only your own nervous system, but also the nervous system of the person you are interacting with. This principle has profound implications for customer service. If you want to elevate the customer's experience, you must begin by elevating your energy. The words you use matter, but if they are not supported by coherence in your body and emotions, they will fall flat. Customers remember less of what you say and more of how you made them feel, and feelings are created not by scripts but by energy. This is why two employees in the same company, following the same procedures, can create radically different customer experiences. The difference is not in the words, it is in the energy behind them. To project positive, coherent energy, you must first become aware of what you are broadcasting. If you are carrying irritation from the last customer, worry about your personal life, or resentment toward your job, that energy is leaking through every interaction, you cannot hide it, because energy is not something you consciously control like a switch. It reflects your internal state in every moment. So the first step is awareness, becoming conscious of what you are feeling before you engage. Then, once you notice incoherence, you can shift it. One of the most effective ways to shift energy is through intentional breathing. A few deep, slow breaths can regulate your nervous system, reduce stress hormones, and create coherence in your heart rhythm. This physiological change is not only felt by you, but also by those you interact with. Gratitude is another powerful tool. By focusing on something you genuinely appreciate before or during an interaction, you activate emotions that project warmth and care. Customers can feel this warmth even if they cannot explain why the interaction feels different. Another key is authenticity. Customers are highly sensitive to insincerity. If your words are polished but your energy does not match, they will sense the dissonance. True influence comes when your words and your energy are aligned, when what you say and what you feel are coherent. That coherence creates trust. Trust leads to loyalty. Loyalty transforms a one-time interaction into a lasting relationship. It is also worth noting that energy is contagious. A frustrated customer can easily trigger your own frustration if you are not aware. But when you remain steady, calm, and coherent, your energy can influence them instead. Their anger softens, their defensiveness decreases, and the entire interaction shifts. This is how one person's inner state can elevate the state of another. In customer service, that power is invaluable because you are constantly interacting with people who may be upset or stressed. By mastering your own energy, you become the anchor in the storm. At its core, customer service is not about solving problems as much as it is about creating experiences. And experiences are shaped by energy. Long after the details of the interaction fade, the customer will remember how they felt in your presence. If they felt dismissed, rushed, or burdened, that memory lingers. But if they felt cared for, valued, and uplifted, that memory also lingers, and it becomes the reason they return, the reason they recommend, the reason they remain loyal. Your words might close the transaction, but your energy creates the relationship. Most people approach customer service with a very narrow mindset. The goal is to answer the question, solve the problem, or complete the transaction as quickly and efficiently as possible. While efficiency has its place, this transactional view reduces the interaction to something mechanical, almost robotic. The customer comes with a need, the employee provides a solution, and the interaction ends. On the surface, it looks complete, but something deeper is missing. Human beings do not crave transactions, they crave transformation. They want to feel better leaving the interaction than when they entered it. That is the true essence of great customer service, not just to fulfill a need, but to elevate the experience into something meaningful. Think about the countless transactions you engage in every day: buying coffee, making a call, paying a bill, checking into a hotel. Most of these interactions are quickly forgotten because they are purely functional. You got what you needed, but there was nothing memorable about it. Now recall the times when someone went beyond the mechanics of the transaction. Maybe the barista greeted you with genuine warmth, remembered your name, and made you feel valued. Perhaps the customer service representative on the phone not only solved your problem, but also expressed empathy for your frustration, reassuring you that you were cared for. Those moments stand out because they transcend transaction. They transform an ordinary exchange into an experience that leaves a lasting imprint. Transformation in customer service does not require grand gestures or extravagant acts. It requires presence, care, and intention. It is the subtle difference between serving someone to finish the task and serving someone to change the way they feel. When you approach each interaction with the mindset that you have the power to uplift, to ease, to inspire, even in the smallest way, you begin to see the opportunity hidden inside every customer moment. This perspective shifts the way you speak, the way you listen, and the way you respond. The truth is that customers rarely remember the technical details of the interaction. They may not remember the exact words you used, the exact steps you took, or the exact procedure you followed, but they will remember how they felt. They will remember if they felt rushed or cared for, dismissed or valued, ignored or heard. This emotional imprint is what lingers, and it is what transforms a one-time buyer into a loyal advocate. Transformation begins when you move from asking, "What do I need to do to complete this transaction?" to asking, "What can I do to make this person's day better?" That single shift in perspective redefines the entire purpose of service. Transformation also requires empathy. When a customer comes to you, they are not simply bringing a question or a complaint. They are bringing their emotional state with them. They may feel confused, stressed, or upset. If you treat their need as just another task on your checklist, you miss the human dimension. But if you acknowledge their emotions, validate their experience, and respond with compassion, you create a shift. The problem may remain the same, but their emotional state changes. That shift is transformation. It is the difference between leaving frustrated and leaving relieved, between leaving indifferent and leaving inspired. Another essential element of transformation is personalization. Transaction is impersonal. It treats every customer the same, applying the same words, the same procedures, the same responses. Transformation, however, recognizes the uniqueness of each individual. When you take the time to listen carefully, to notice the details, and to respond in a way that makes the customer feel like more than just a number, you create a sense of connection. People long to be seen, and when you show them that you see them, even in a brief interaction, you elevate the experience into something they will never forget. Transformation also requires you to reframe your role. You are not simply an employee completing tasks or following guidelines. You are a creator of experiences, a shaper of emotions, and an influencer of states of being. Every interaction is an opportunity to choose how you want to impact another person. Do you want to leave them unchanged, simply checking off their request? Or do you want to leave them uplifted, cared for, and inspired? When you recognize this responsibility, customer service becomes far more than a job. It becomes a practice of influence, empathy, and transformation. There is also a ripple effect to transformation. When you shift a customer's state from frustration to relief, from indifference to appreciation, you are not only changing that moment, you are influencing what comes after. That customer may carry their renewed sense of calm into their workplace, their home, their next conversation. Your choice to elevate the interaction may ripple out into countless lives you will never see. In this way, every act of transformative service has the potential to extend far beyond the individual interaction. To shift from transaction to transformation, you must train yourself to see beyond the surface. Do not see just the problem. See the person behind the problem. Do not see just the question. See the human being seeking clarity. Do not see just the complaint. See the person who longs to be heard. This expanded vision allows you to engage with customers in a way that honors their humanity, not just their need. That honor creates trust, loyalty, and connection, which no transaction alone can ever achieve. The world does not remember transactions, but it does remember transformations. People carry with them the memory of how they were treated, how they were valued, how they were made to feel. In an age where products and services can be replicated by anyone, it is the human touch, the ability to transform a moment, that sets organizations and individuals apart. Every interaction holds within it the choice to remain transactional or to become transformational. The path you choose defines not only the customer's experience, but also your own growth and fulfillment in the act of serving. Every action we take, every word we speak, and every response we give emerges from the patterns wired into our brain and body. Over time, through repetition and habit, these patterns become automatic. In customer service, many people operate on these ingrained patterns without ever questioning them. Stress from a difficult customer, frustration with repetitive tasks, or indifference from years of routine become embedded responses that are triggered without thought. The result is that we end up serving not from conscious choice, but from unconscious habit. To deliver great customer service, however, we must rise above the automatic, and that requires rewiring the service mindset. Rewiring begins with awareness. If you are unaware of the patterns driving your behavior, you cannot change them. Think about how often frustration creeps into your voice when a customer is upset, even if you do not intend it. Think about how quickly impatience shows up when you feel rushed. These reactions are not conscious choices. They are patterns your nervous system has memorized through repeated experiences. Your brain fires the same circuits, your body produces the same emotions, and before you know it, you are reliving the same service interaction over and over again. The first step to rewiring is to notice these patterns, to catch yourself in the act, and to realize that just because you reacted this way yesterday does not mean you must react this way today. Neuroscience shows us that the brain is plastic, capable of change at any age. Every time you choose a new response, you weaken the old neural pathway and strengthen a new one. This means that in customer service, you have the ability to retrain yourself to respond with patience instead of irritation, empathy instead of defensiveness, and gratitude instead of indifference. But this shift requires intentional practice. You cannot simply hope to change in the middle of a stressful moment. You must prepare your mind and body in advance. One way to begin is through visualization. Before stepping into your role each day, take a few moments to imagine the kinds of interactions you might face. See yourself encountering an angry customer, and instead of reacting with stress, picture yourself remaining calm, grounded, and compassionate. Visualize yourself listening fully, responding with understanding, and guiding the customer to a solution with grace. By rehearsing this new pattern in your mind, you are priming your brain to fire different circuits so that when the real moment comes, your body is already familiar with the new response. Over time, this practice rewires your service mindset, making the elevated response more natural. Another powerful tool is emotional conditioning. If you carry unresolved stress from the past, your body will keep reproducing those emotions in the present. This means that even before the customer speaks, your body is already in survival mode, ready to defend, ready to react. To rewire your mindset, you must practice elevating your emotions. Gratitude, compassion, patience, and joy are not just fleeting feelings. They are states you can train your body to live in. By intentionally cultivating these emotions each day through meditation, reflection, or even short moments of mindful breathing, you begin to teach your body what it feels like to serve from a higher state. The more often you return to these emotions, the more they become your baseline, and the less likely you are to fall into old patterns of stress. Rewiring also involves redefining the meaning of service itself. If you see customer service as a burden, as just a job to get through, your brain will wire patterns of indifference and resistance. But if you see service as an opportunity, as a chance to influence, to uplift, to grow, then your brain begins to form new association. Every interaction becomes a training ground for your own development. Instead of feeling drained by difficult customers, you begin to see them as opportunities to practice patience, empathy, and resilience. This shift in meaning rewires not just how you act, but how you feel about serving. It is also important to recognize that rewiring the service mindset is not a one-time event. It is an ongoing practice. Old patterns will try to pull you back because the brain prefers what is familiar, even if it is unhelpful. This is why consistency is key. Each time you choose a new response, you are carving a new path in your brain. At first, the old path feels stronger, easier to follow, but the more you practice the new way, the more the old one weakens. Eventually, what once required effort becomes effortless. Compassion becomes your default instead of defensiveness. Patience becomes your habit instead of irritation. Presence becomes your natural state instead of distraction. The impact of rewiring extends far beyond the customer. When you change your internal patterns, you change your experience of service itself. What once felt exhausting becomes energizing because you are no longer draining yourself with stress reactions. What once felt repetitive becomes meaningful because you are now serving from choice rather than habit. This not only improves the customer's experience, but also transforms your own sense of fulfillment. Service ceases to be a task and becomes a practice of self-mastery. In a world where most people operate unconsciously, repeating the same emotional patterns day after day, choosing to rewire your mindset is a radical act. It means refusing to be defined by your past experiences, your old habits, or your ingrained reactions. It means stepping into each interaction with the awareness that you can choose differently, that you can elevate not only the customer's state, but your own. This choice, repeated over and over again, becomes the secret foundation of great customer service. At the heart of great customer service lies something far deeper than words, procedures, or policies. It is not simply about efficiency, nor is it limited to solving problems or completing transactions. It is about who we are in the moment we serve. The inner state we carry creates the outer experience others feel. Presence becomes the greatest gift we can offer. Energy communicates louder than any script. Every interaction holds the potential to move beyond transaction into transformation. And when we consciously choose to rewire our mindset, we step out of unconscious patterns and into the deliberate act of serving with intention, coherence, and authenticity. When these truths come together, customer service becomes more than a role, more than a responsibility. It becomes a practice of influence, an opportunity to connect at the deepest human level, and a pathway to leave people better than we found them. Because long after the words fade, what remains is how we made others feel, and that is the true secret to great customer service.